Hi, welcome to the Raising Expert podcast. This is a podcast for founders raising or planning to raise pre-seed equity investment. We provide tips and advice on attracting investment from the right investors. You can listen to interviews with entrepreneurs sharing their investment secrets and experts giving their advice and tips. My name is Finlay. Thanks for joining me. And now, on with the show. Hello there, and welcome to the Raising Expert podcast, and welcome to Zaki Hasan. Hi, Zaki.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Thanks, Zaki. Listen, I really appreciate you taking the time. We're deep in holiday season as we record this, 30th of December 2024, coming to an end of the year. But it is actually it's a great time, isn't it, for us entrepreneurs to take a bit of time to do some planning, think about next year and what that's going to bring. And you're at an exciting time in your business, and that's the sort of premise for our conversation. You're an entrepreneur looking to raise angel investment, right? So that's why we're working together. So I really appreciate you coming to share some of that with us. But why don't you tell us, to set the scene, a little bit about yourself? Who's Zaki? Where do you come from? What's your sort of professional background? And then move on to Afivo. It's a really exciting fintech, in my opinion. So over to you.
Thanks for the fantastic introduction. Yeah, absolutely. As you say, my name is Zaki Hasan, and I am a co-founder of this fintech company called Affivo. We are based in Dundee. A little bit about my background. I am a graduate of Dundee University, and right after graduating, I went to work in several roles across finance and commercial finance and corporate finance, for big names like Deloitte, Wood Mackenzie. So I have a bit of background in finance, and which is why I was interested in working for myself, to be honest, and in this sector. And what we do at Afivo is we are on a mission to solve small and medium enterprises' most critical pain points of delayed payments, invoice processing, inefficiencies, and the risks associated with extending those elusive net terms to their customers. So, yeah, I mean, in my previous roles, I was quite heavily involved with SME financing. I was looking at credit portfolios of small businesses in the UK, and I was really drawn to this wide problem of delayed payments, invoice processing, and so forth. And yeah, that's what we're doing at the moment. So we've got a small team of really exciting professionals, from developers and a sales person and myself and data scientists at the moment, and we are recruiting and for more professionals in the coming year, hopefully. And yeah, as you say, we are raising at the moment, and which is why we are working with you. And I've had a great experience so far working with you, and you've had this tremendous experience of operating a business, and so it's been really wonderful to connect with you, and just you work from there.
Thanks, Zaki, and giving us a little bit of background. I think it's really interesting because you're quite unusual in the nicest possible way, if you don't mind me saying, because so many people in your situation go into these big organizations and there's almost like golden handcuffs in that, you're getting pretty well looked after financially and probably in other ways. And you could have tried to solve these problems or this big problem for SME, um, and but done it from within these big organizations. But it shows a real entrepreneurial spirit for you to say, no, I'm going to really go and grab the bull by the horns and get out there and develop and design something
Yeah.
that solves this problem specifically. So I'm wondering, is there, so I'll delve a little bit deeper to say, what is it in your personality, the characteristic that's made you do that? And maybe a bit of a leading question, is there within your family or maybe close group of friends a kind of entrepreneurial culture or spirit?
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Like in the sense that as a professional working for someone else or working for a big company, you get comfortable, you get a cushy salary, and that pays for your life. And it is as you know very well, it is highly risky business venturing out on your own or just without much support. So yeah, I mean, in that sense, I always dreamt of like don't want to sound romantic, but I always dreamt of some doing something for myself, and I found this incredible opportunity. It's a huge gap, so I took the leap of faith and just went for it. In terms of my background, my family, my immediate family, they're not entrepreneurial, to be honest, and I have some examples from my wider circle, my wider family who are entrepreneurial and they've done pretty well for themselves. So those were some of the some of the obvious people I looked up to,
Mm.
and I've always had that, um, great respect for people who struck out on their own. And besides that, like always had this knack for knowledge, which drove me, and self-learning was a motivating factor, and that drove me to learn on the job and also teach myself these skills that I missed. And it won't be wrong to say that I had no idea how to be an entrepreneur, and I still am learning, as you can tell. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. Like
That's cool.
that's how it shaped me to kind of move in this direction.
No, that's cool. That makes sense. And even those not immediate family members, but they're great role models to look maybe slightly wider out and see how these people have developed their own career. That's very honest of you. Thank you. That's a very strong characteristic, that ability just to go and learn though and fill in those gaps of knowledge. And if we're talking about the investor piece or the investment ready piece as we are working together, that's a really important attribute that investors look for. There is a growth mindset that you go, right, I'm not the finished article here. I'm always looking to improve and improve my knowledge, and that you're open to that. So that's a really interesting characteristic, as well as the entrepreneurial, and let's face it, risk taking up to a point. It's a calculated risk, right? Because you think, right, there's a space in the market. I know how to address that, and off you go on the journey. So that's cool. And maybe it's a slight comment, and in my training and education, in that there wasn't so much entrepreneurship either one in the universities and around the universities. It's much better now, but also, as you say, to go and get these other role models. The training at that time was very much about that sort of blue chip path that you set off on, and there didn't always seem to be that other way. It was I'm going back last century, right? My experience, so yeah, it's quite different. Okay, listen, let's change gear a little bit and talk more about your business, Afivo, and you've laid out, okay, we're fundraising just now to build a team, a little bit of development and so on. But what would you say if you had to? You see, what's your biggest challenge just now
So biggest challenge in terms of
for the business
for the
in
business.
broad terms? Yeah.
Yeah. I would say it's twofold. It's getting the customers, and with what I mean by getting customers is educating them and not saying that they're not well versed with their own problems, but it's more about changing attitudes or um, you know the way I see it, the problem is pervasive and everyone faces it in especially in small business that most of the according to some statistics, about 65% of small businesses in Scotland, as recent as I think October 2024, according to FSB, Federation of Small Business, they face the challenge of late payments, invoice returning, being paid late. So in that sense, there people know, folks know, this operators know the problem is there, but do they really want to change and do they really want to um, take action on that is the question. So when we speak to potential customers, that's the kind of message or the implicit message that we get. It's yeah, so what, like, people are just kind of comfortable with whatever it is that they're facing, and let's face it, not many people, not everyone is out there looking to be radically altering their course of business or the style of doing business. So it's the problem that we face, and uh, I would say we would face in future, in the near future. It's about changing attitudes and uh, tackling the problem head on as we speak. And so that's the main problem, and the other is being a small pre-revenue company doesn't really help us to raise money in this environment, and we are we are in a very tricky place right now when inflation is high, so to speak, generally high in across the globe. So investors are very wise and being very guarded with they're guarding their capital, where to invest, and uh, it's been slightly challenging for startups and especially early stage startups in technology, where there have been a lot of failures and a lot of bankruptcies, and that hasn't given investors, early stage investors, much confidence. So that's one of the challenges. I'd say. I'm being very frank. It's a key challenge that we are facing, being an early stage company and acquiring customers from that premise.
Yeah, no, I think you're right, and there's a couple of there's the classic paradox in there, isn't there, that you want or need investors' capital to go and build a sales team to go and develop sales, right? But investors, you're right, it's not that easy to raise investment right now. They're like, well, show us that your offering is needed in the market and show us some sales traction. So there can
Yeah,
be a bit of a standoff. Um, I think you're solving a big enough problem that people understand that I think investors are going to understand that it unlocks a great market. But it's interesting what you say, that there's a bit of a challenge to break down existing thinking in the SME market. It's almost like that they just have to deal with it. This big problem, and it's part of business. Shocking statistics from FSB, but I'm sure there's lots of others as well that totally back up your claims. Um, so it is then a sales job, isn't it? It's not just
Yeah.
throwing lots of jazzy marketing at the problem, because you've got to actually talk to people and explain the benefits and the change of use. And I wonder if this is a time actually to maybe explain a little bit more about the Afivo technology and how it would work. It's almost like, right, what's your sales pitch to potential customers, and tell us a little bit how that would work for their business.
Yeah, no. So uh, just in short, it's really what we do is we really helping small businesses to address their most critical pain and which is delayed payments, helping them process invoices more efficiently and address the risk associated with non-payment with a very simple product. Um, so it's a product that anyone can use and uh, help their customers um, have access to net terms so that their customers also can split payments and they don't while they might be facing difficulty they can come back to them in split payment terms and the the process is very simple, which is a unique selling point for us. We just ask our customers to upload their invoice that they want to get paid on, and we do the checks in the background as soon as you upload the invoice, and we read the invoice. We do the credit and fraud check, which is the central premise for our risk assessment and yeah, we give an instant decision on whether or not that invoice can be paid. So we underwrite your customers as you know as a if you are selling, we underwrite the customers of yours rather than you.
I've got it. So yeah, so there's actually quite a lot going on in the background, and I think you've explained that well. And it's the kind of buy now, pay later model for B2B, right?
Yeah,
Um, but there's quite a lot of checks and going on, and financial workings.
absolutely. Yeah.
So I guess is part of the development to automate more of that, or maybe use some AI. That seems to be where everything's going.
Yeah, AI is a buzzword, I would say, and but we are developing the product to work on its own. As we say, it is pretty much going to be automated. Everything is going to be automated, um, right from your invoice production. You write an invoice, you use our platform, so everything will be happening on a single platform which will be machine learning driven and AI driven. So processes would be automated right from producing an invoice and sending it to your customer, and us doing risk and assessment in the background, which is pretty seamless, and it is done in a split second. So yes, you're very very much right in saying it is going to be AI driven, it is going to be automated, and with this we reduce processing times and minimizing resource burdens for your small business. Uh, in Again, I'm trying to bring another statistic here. According to a recent survey, I'm forgetting who it was, but the small businesses are facing huge challenges in terms of they end up spending a lot of time chasing invoices, and Uh, that equates to about £22,000 annually per SME on an average, as this figure is from 2023. So an average SME ends up paying about 2020 spending about £22,000 annually just as a cost of chasing invoices. So that is a huge cost. I'm sure nobody wants to look at that bill at the end of the year and say, like, we are just we are spending this much money in man hours, and so forth, and resources for just chasing invoices. It's a manual process right now. As you would agree, like most of the SMEs don't really have any ways of generating invoice. It's just very much manual. Um, maybe a Word document, maybe a PDF, and that's it. They send it to their customers via an email, and you phone them up to remind them that it's due. And if it's not been paid on time, then you put in another reminder, send emails, and so forth. There are mistakes obviously in an invoice. So yeah, so it's not hard to see why this is a time-consuming process. It's a drain on resources for small businesses. So we are addressing that by a simple solution.
Yeah, no, that's again a shocking statistic. £22,500 any SME would maybe not hope to eradicate that, but certainly greatly reduce it. But that's a part-time resource. It's quite a significant resource, isn't it? And
Yeah,
apart from anything else, there's always a bit of stress built into it as well as the financial
yeah,
burden. So, I'm sure your solution will be absolutely welcome. Listen, you could always tell me where that comes from, and I'll put it in the show notes because I think it is quite nice, isn't it, to be able to back it up, whether that's
yeah.
FSB or someone else that's been doing that research. Um, okay, yeah, no, I understand where you are in this. But maybe now just actually moving over onto the investor readiness piece, and we're actually unpacking what we have been doing on a kind of weekly basis. I guess we've been talking to one another over the last 4 to 6 weeks or so. And maybe if I can summarize it, I think you're now pretty well prepared. Your investor readiness is at quite a high state of readiness, so we are ready to start engaging with investors. What are maybe some of the lessons you've learned? So thinking about the audience now as people who are maybe a couple of stages behind you, that they're maybe thinking about, what, I really need to go and raise £250,000 in 2025. um, and this has not been your domain of expertise. What have you learned? What lessons would you pass on to people?
Um, yeah, I would. Yeah, thanks a lot for that, and yeah, I appreciate your help, and it's been possible with you know obviously by working with you. It's been a great support. In terms of any sort of lessons or any tips I would be passing on for anyone who's looking to raise for investor readiness is to really nail down um, the audience, which is the investor in this case, and to understand who you're raising from, um, and really understand where they might be coming from, their ask and their expectations. And then there is obvious material that you need to get ready, which is a pitch deck. Pitch deck can take several forms, which would be for different investors. If that's pretty much it. And obviously a financial model which has to be backed by sound logic and very, very conservative assumptions in my case. And the financial plan has to be very fluid, and it has to take into account different scenarios, and it should ideally do that. And take a look at like different scenarios. What if things go north, south? What if you don't manage to get those 5 customers that you're expecting in the first few months, or 10 customers? What if that drops to 2? What happens then? So you take all those sensitivities into account and build a build a financial plan that includes your uh, in a traditional setup, income statement, profit and loss, your cash flow statement. And yeah, I mean, another thing is valuation. Like I would say, be very conservative with valuation. Have different scenarios for that as well. There are great amount of help or resources available online for free, so people uh, could look at that and and be very specific to their own sector when it comes to building assumptions and forecasting. So knowing your sector, your line of business, it really helps, and that shows you've done your homework and in terms of building those forecasts. Yeah.
Good. No, that's brilliant. Listen, it's better always coming from me, listing those things, and I think you gave a good rationale as to why you would do it. It's not just like tick box,
Yeah.
pitch deck, financial model. It's like, you have to be able to explain the reasons behind the decisions you're making, and the opportunity you've seen. So, thanks for that. And it does make my job a little bit better in that I can just add value because you've done a lot of the fundamentals, is more than the fundamentals. So I think it's good advice. People, go away and do as much as you can, use Google or the support agencies, economic development agencies, whoever it is that can help you get to a certain level, and bit of a pitch, then get someone like me to help you with the final stages. So, listen, thanks, Aki. This has been a great conversation. What I hope we could do is maybe do another one in a month or maybe 2 months' time, and get a little bit of an update as to how things are going. And I really appreciate you sharing that. It's very good of you. And listen, all the best for 2025 when it comes.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. It's always great to talk, and yeah, we'll speak. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
See you later. Bye.